On this episode of Delivering Marketing Joy, we talk with the big man on campus, Dana Zezzo, and he tells us how to build a culture of success. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. I'm your host, Kirby Hasseman, and I have a rock star with me today. Dana has been nice enough to come back again. Dana Zezzo is the VP of Sales and Marketing for Imagine Brands. Dana, thanks so much for coming back. I appreciate it.
No problem. Always love it.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to chat with you. You have, I want to say it's a new journey, but it's not that new anymore. But the last time we talked, you were just jumping on with Imagine Brands, and I know that one of the things that you've kind of gone through a bit of a transition there, where you've kind of tried to have to put a couple different sales teams together. I would think that's pretty challenging. So, what are some of the lessons you've learned and some of the wins from the process?
Yeah, I've been in the position now for just about 11 months already. And it's been, I learned something every day. It's a pretty big company. I mean, we're number 21 on the top, the top 40 supplier list. So, the analogy that I've been using is, my first step into management and running companies, or being part of running them, is always never by myself, but is that the first one was like a little speedboat, and I get this idea and I'd be like, turn right, and everyone just turned right. And then the next one was like, hey, let's turn right. And everyone's like, it was like I had to tell a couple crew members because it's kind of more like a yacht. And then it slowly turned right, but it wasn't a speedboat. And now, I'm fortunate to be put in a situation where I'm driving a ship, and I have to tell them like a couple months ahead of time, hey, I'm thinking about going right, and then a lot of people need to know about going right. And then still, even when we decide to go right, that's a slow turn. And that is the analogy. And to bring it back to the two sales forces, I didn't know that when I took the position exactly where they were in that process. And it was I quickly found out that it was just January 1 that they were merging, letting this Crown and Vitronic sales force, rep both companies. And I guess they kind of got the bomb dropped on them, for good or bad, like that fall. So they had a lot of stuff in their head, and sure, preconceived notions and, beliefs and, perception is reality kind of stuff going on. And that is what I got hit with. And starting in February, right out of the gate, here I am, I'm ready to go. I got all these ideas. I'm looking at the product. I'm looking at the marketing. I'm looking at all the potential we have. And then it's just like, just dead stop. And, I think the lesson learned was that when you make company decisions that affect a lot of people, we affected at February, at the time of the announcement, 25, 30 individuals, because then it trickled through and kind of played a role in inside sales and customer service and, all the way through. And that was the tune of like 50 people. No matter how much you think through it in management as a company leader, you never fully understand the impact it has on the individuals. So the lesson learned was you need to make company decisions. We need to make decisions every day that are the best for the company. But if you don't get down and understand that on a granular level and connect with each one of those individuals that are being affected and understanding how it's affecting them, you're just going to be at a stalemate. Mm-hmm. And I know other suppliers that have gone through this, and they've all, I'm sure, worked their way through it in different ways. But the lesson to me was, when decisions like this are made, you kind of got to go grassroots and get down in the trenches with them and understand how this is affecting their life and what that's in their head. And help overcome sometimes those perceptions, which are not always reality. I mean, I'm sure when we first started doing this, the perception was, oh, they're going to cut the sales force in half. Well, we still haven't done that. And as a matter of fact, we got 4 hires in the works right now, so we're not doing that. But it was tough to overcome. It took, I would say, just until about 2 weeks ago, I felt like that was behind us.
It reminds me of the quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
That's right.
I feel like that lends itself to what you're saying right there. So
100%.
Yeah. So one of the things that when you or anyone comes to building a sales organization, I think it comes to be about culture. So how do you build? How do you work to build a culture of success?
Well, it's funny because, I got this like Napoleon complex thing going on in me, so I'm sure I come across, and I'm being told that I come across really strong and aggressive and threatening, and, I'm like this big, so it's kind of weird. But I think once you get to know me, and it's what it takes for me. So how do I build a culture in an organization that breeds success is, one, I always use myself to set the benchmark. I don't ask anybody to ever do anything that I wouldn't do personally myself. And then my activity, when I'm in the field, my expectations from my own calls are equal or higher than the reps what we expect from the reps. My meetings outside the trade shows is high. My time in the booth is higher than anyone else. My email count's higher than anyone else. My phone count's higher than anyone else. My social touches are way higher than everyone else. So I just set the benchmark to show that it can be done, and that if you really want to succeed, it's contagious. And there's nothing better than working for someone who wants to succeed as bad as you do. It makes you want to, I loosely use the word follow, because I don't want a bunch of followers, but to kind of form into that pack that's going to drive forward, because that's the only way to be successful. I mean, you can have a couple off superstars in your sales force, but they can be up. That doesn't offset everybody else that's down.
Right.
So you have to build a culture and work with them and nurture them to want to go the direction you're going. But if you're going to do that, then you answer your phone at 10:51 when someone calls because they're in panic. Yeah. You have to do everything you can to set the expectations to what it is, from response time to communication. Communication's huge. I think the biggest impact that I've had at Imagine Brands is the level of communication, and it's good or bad. Like, we had one spur up, just here the last couple of days. It's not good, but you know what? We're posting it on our we use internal Facebook group. We use Facebook groups as our internal live way of interacting, which, can go haywire pretty quick. But it's live. It's real. You can respond. You can say, I don't understand. You can't misinterpret an email. So I would say set the benchmark and set the example. Like, work better than anyone else and smarter than anyone else and more strategic than anyone else, and then teach them why and how you did that at any time they want to learn that. And it doesn't all happen at once. It's kind of at their own will. Everyone learns different. And over communicate. I mean, that is what every day I talk to my marketing team, and they think of this stuff months ago, right? They've made these plans months ago, and they forget that it's just now hitting people in the organization. And it's like, and they just forget that, and they take some stuff for granted. They don't mean to do it, but it's like, over communicate. You can never go wrong over communicating. Yeah. So how do I breed success in an organization? Set the bench, set the bar, and over communicate.
No, I like that a lot. And I love the idea of leading by example. It's something that I aspire to do. So I think that's great advice. So real quickly, final question for you. The sales year is now beginning for many people, those that are on the calendar year. What tips do you have to get your team and anybody else's team started off on the right foot?
Well, the tip to my team was we're trying to educate them as quickly as they can about all the new product, so that they're prepared going into the new year. We've got a lot of things that can stagnate a company on a sales organization. We've got comp plans behind us. We're rolling over last year's comp plan and this year, no changes there. So, that's where Salesforce will get all hung up. And if they're not comfortable with their comp plan, they suddenly can't learn anything else. And I respect that. And I get it. I was that person. And that's the quality I bring to the table. Is I worked my way up through the industry, and I can understand what they're going through. So comp plans are rolling over. They're the same. We've addressed things in the comp plan that were issues before, and we've made them right or more comfortable for the sales force, and yet still make company decisions. We're educating them on product. We did our national sales meeting, and we called a timeout for a couple days, and we really spent some time doing breakout sessions. I feel that the group of salespeople can learn in a more intimate setting. So historically, the company has always done product knowledge in big, wide formats. 50 people in the room. Someone stands in front. They've got a PowerPoint. They're flipping through. Well, if you're like the 21st person in the big U, they're 5 slides ahead by the time the product gets to you, and you're like, okay, I'm lost. What the hell was this thing again? Why do we have it? So this year I broke that down into real small, intimate settings of about 7 to 9 people. I broke up the brands. I made sure that the product launches had stories accompanied with them. So the success that we're going to bring to the table next year is we're not just coming out schlepping a bunch of product. We're not going to be bag and draggers. We are going to come into the distributors of today that want to do business with us with compelling stories of why we have this stuff and how it adds to our line or how it adds to a service model that they're looking for. It's all prep and it's stories. I mean, you and I both follow a lot of the same people. Business leaders that preach, storytelling is the key to selling, not product. And so if you have the greatest product, if it doesn't have a story behind it or purpose, it's just a product.
No, I like it. And so it sounds like a big tip for you is just to get all your ducks in a row so that when you come out of the gate, you can come out running full speed. And I think that's awesome, dude. So, all right. So you've answered my 3 questions. I give everybody a chance to ask me one question. Do you have one for me?
Yeah. So, in the last few weeks, I've been on this just content prep because we're getting ready. Like I said, we've explained the knowledge to them or what's coming to them, and we have it canned in all kinds of cool little content formats and bite-sized pieces. And we're going to hit the road running with content, with a solid content strategy that we can share with our distributors. That content is attracting customers. Okay. So I'm going to kind of turn this around a little bit because, I keep a close eye on you, Mr. Kirby, really close eye, right there. You are just, done an amazing job on the industry and being a content creator, in many different, from these podcasts to your written content to the type of social you're putting out. Do you think it's time? What's going to happen now? You've got this content strategy that is the future of promotional product sales. You think that's going to build your portfolio? Do you think that's going to attract talent to you someday?
It's a good question. So, it's interesting. I think that when I first started doing this, everybody was like, what's the goal? Why are you doing this? And I think what I told people 2 years ago was, I know it's the right thing to do, and I'm not sure how it will come, and I'm just going to deal with it as it comes. I sort of feel like, to your point, you create content that hopefully there's value to your customers and your prospects, and we work to do that. But yeah, I mean, I would be lying to you if I said that, at some point it would make sense that, I want to be an expert in the industry. I want to be a person who provides a ton of value. And if that translates into people wanting to come and work with us, that's great. It's not certainly the only goal, but gosh, it would be flattering if that's one of the things that happens. So I appreciate you keeping your eye on me for sure. That one, right? Well, dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and we will definitely do it again. Cool?
Awesome. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That wraps up another edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching, but wait! Can you do me a favor? Please subscribe to my channel. If you haven't done it already, the way to do it's right over here. And hey, if you want to watch the last episode, check that out over here. Again, before you leave, subscribe!